Good morning, students. Today, we are going to enjoy and learn the chapter Life Processes. But before we proceed with the chapter, let us understand what are the different characteristics of the word life. What is a living thing? Imagine that you are a space traveler who lands on an unknown planet. How could you determine if what you are looking at is alive? For example, there's a rock in front of you and a blade of grass. So how would you know that that particular object is living or non-living? So these characteristics which are enlisted in the table will help you understand the difference between a living and a non-living thing. For example, the rock that would be in front of you would not show any movement, whether it is of the body of the object, that is rock, or at the molecular level. There would be no nutrition taking place in the rock. There would be no excretion, growth, respiration, reproduction, or sensitivity. However, if you look at the living thing, which is the blade of grass, it would show that there would be nutrition taking place over there, maybe not that much of movement except for its growth during the time of growth. It would show excretion, it would show growth, respiration, reproduction, and sensitivity. So, basically, these are the life processes. So now we can say that the different biological processes that are taking place in our body or that of any living organism that are essential for our survival are called life processes. There are 7 life processes: movement, reproduction, sensitivity, nutrition, excretion, respiration, and growth. All these life processes are very essential for the living organism to function well. But for these life processes to take place and to carry out, we need energy. This energy is thus used at the time of playing, eating, sleeping, resting, to carry out several life processes for maintenance of body. But where and how do we get this energy from? This means that there must be a process by which we can transfer the source of energy from outside the body of an organism, that is food, to inside. So this process by which we transfer the source of energy from outside the body of an organism in the form of food to inside is called nutrition. Nutrition includes all the activities involved in obtaining food from the environment, that is ingestion, processing food for use by the organism, that is digestion, and subsequently absorption and assimilation. It also includes the removal of solid waste, that is ingestion. So, starting from ingestion till egestion, we say that the life process of nutrition is complete and is very essential for functioning of any living organism. If the living organisms need to grow, which is another life process, they again need energy for living and growth. So this is accomplished by breaking down food to produce energy. We know that life on Earth depends on obtaining energy by breaking down carbon-based compounds present in the form of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. These fats, carbohydrates, and proteins undergo several oxidation-reduction reactions to produce energy. The outside sources of energy can be quite varied since environment is not under the control of an individual organism. These sources of energy need to be converted so that they can be used by the organism. For this purpose, a series of chemical reactions in body are necessary. Organisms use oxygen sourced from outside the body to break down the food and release energy. Let us see what all chemical reactions and which type of chemical reactions are taking place inside the cells. The oxidation-reduction reactions are the most common reactions which are taking place inside the cells to break down the molecules of glucose or fatty acid or amino acids. These are the molecules which are used by cells. All these reactions use oxygen. Since living organisms use oxygen to carry out oxidation-reduction reactions, this process is called as the cellular respiration. The energy thus obtained is used by the cells at the molecular level to carry out several molecular movements. The energy is also utilized to maintain living structures. By maintenance, we mean that whenever there's a cut or a wound, then in order to heal the wound or repair the damaged tissues, energy is used. Energy is also utilized for the growth of body, and it is also used to run series of biochemical reactions inside the cells. Let us now study how do single cellular organisms like amoeba obtain their nutrition. These organisms have only one cell. That is why they are called unicellular. They do not have any specific organ or tissue system for taking in food or exchange of gases or removal of waste. So, they carry out all their life processes with their single cell. This is because the entire surface of the organism is in contact with the environment. So, single cellular organisms, it's very important to note this, that they carry out simple diffusion process to meet some of the life processes. Let us observe and see how nutrition in amoeba takes place. I'll first show you a slide which looks exactly how amoeba looks under the microscope. You can see that there are pseudopodia on amoeba and the food particle is getting engulfed. The cytoplasm inside the amoeba. But if you want to have a clearer view, let me show you the diagrammatic versions. I'll show you 3 slides on the same so that it's crystal clear. So in the first slide, you can see that the amoeba is there. It has an irregular shape, a centrally dotted dark structured nucleus and cytoplasm. The dots represent the cytoplasm. In the first step, we see that the amoeba is approaching the food particle. As soon as it's approaching the food particle, it forms pseudopodia or the false feet. The word pseudo means false and podia means feet, so false feet. So it uses its pseudopodia to engulf the food particle. So in the third step, you can see that the food particle has got engulfed and it has entered the food vacuole. So the fourth diagram shows you the food vacuole containing food particle in the cytoplasm. Likewise, in other diagrams also, you can see that the pseudopodia or the false feet, they move amoeba and help them gather food. The food particle thus gets swallowed. The food vacuole thus digests the food after getting swallowed, and the contractile vacuole excretes the water and other waste products. So in this way, amoeba derives its nutrition, and simply the diffusion can help it do so because the entire surface of organism is in contact with the environment. But what happens if the body of an organism becomes bigger? The body design becomes more complex. Am I reminding you of multicellular organisms? Yes. This is the case in case of multicellular organisms which consist of more than one cell in contrast to single cell organisms. Their body design is more complex and they are much bigger. So, to form a multicellular organism, these cells need to identify and attach to other cells. Since the cells may not be in direct contact with the surrounding environment, simple diffusion will not meet the requirements of all the cells. So, at the end of the topic, we learnt, today let us recapitulate, we learnt the characteristics of living things, difference between living and non-living organisms, meaning of the term life processes, we defined it, identifying life processes, sources of energy, types of chemical reactions taking place inside the living organism, types of compounds getting oxidized, meaning of the term nutrition and its importance, mode of nutrition in unicellular organisms like amoeba, and how diffusion cannot satisfy energy requirements in multicellular organisms. So now it's time for you to give me answers to the following 4 questions. I wish that you go through these 4 questions and the content that I have uploaded and answer these questions in your notebook. So the first question for you would be, why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirements of multicellular organisms like humans? Question number 2, what criteria do we use to decide whether something is alive? Question number 3, what are outside raw materials used for by an organism? Question number 4, what processes would you consider essential for maintaining life? Thank you for watching the video and I hope you enjoyed it.